Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Hope you're doing well. This is obviously it's not sponsored like my 55 subscribers, but I recently made an account on NetGalley, and I'll leave the link in the description below if you want to also check them out. But they're basically like a website where you can review like pre-publication books, like ebooks, before they're published. And first of all, I made my account. I wrote like my bio and like I added like links to my Goodreads and StoryGraph and things, and I was requesting quite a few, but I didn't really get many. But then like eventually I did get some, and then since, because I've been like doing actual reviews and I'm actually contributing my opinions and like reviews to the site, I have been like being accepted for like quite a few more. So I am super happy that like I've done this and that they've accepted me for quite a few books, and the main one I want to talk about today might possibly be one of my favorite of the year. I don't know yet, but it was so good. So I have just got like my review on my iPad. It is really long, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. I just kind of want to talk about my opinions. But it's Becoming Ted by Matt Kane, and this is due to come out, I think, like the 20 something of January. But this book was honestly so good. So once again, I want to say a massive thank you to NetGalley and the Headline Publishing House for accepting me as a pre-publication reviewer. And yeah, so really quick, a little trigger warning. Just notice that there is mention of like homophobia, toxic relationship, hate crimes, gaslighting, and other topics within the book. But it is so good. It is so good. So I only want to give you a tiny little plot summary because I'll get onto the reason why. But basically we have 43-year-old Ted. He's living a rather pleasant life. He has a husband of 20 years, a loving dog, a great best friend, a stable job working for his ice cream shop run by his family in a little Lancashire seaside town of St Luke's-on-Sea. But how great is it really? Especially when he's had to hide his true passion throughout his whole life. When his husband confesses he's been having an affair and wants to split up, Ted cannot see anything good coming his way, but how wrong he was. Finally, he gains the courage, with the help of many great people in his life, to pursue his dream of becoming a drag queen and fully comprehend his dull, reserved and unauthentic life before. In doing so, he embarks on a journey of becoming Ted. That was my like little plot summary. I was so happy about it. Like I felt like my summary was just, I loved it. So this was a very short summary, and there was a lot, like I put it in like more that goes on, subplots and character storylines, but I wholeheartedly 1000% recommend picking this book up when it comes available, or maybe you can request to become a reviewer yourself, but I don't want to spoil anything, and yeah, you need to experience it firsthand to truly get the most out of this book. But continue reading my review because I won't spoil anything. It's all praise. Okay, so whilst there were some plot points I personally didn't like too much, I did appreciate it as a whole and how they led to certain things happening, and just I kind of get over how satisfied I was with this book. It also deals with many topics, specifically toxic relationships and gaslighting techniques, which Ted learns was apparent in his marriage, and other characters too. And has flashbacks to points in time which were done exceptionally well. You are transported back. It makes total sense what is happening. You don't lose sight of the present day plot, and it was so good. And they're like demarcated with like little ice creams. It is so adorable. So yes, its exploration of relationships, dynamics and understanding possible trauma is handled very well. It's eye-opening, emotional and gripping. Additionally, homophobia is a present theme both externally and how Ted thinks back to school, but mainly with Oscar and Andres. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's a Polish name. With scenes in Poland in the further and more recent past, mentioning like about LGBT free zones and anti-gay protests and marches, which have become more apparent recently. But internal homophobia and how one overcomes it is a major part. The fact is definitely not an easy ride with ups and downs, movements forward and back, and how no matter how much you might love someone and want what's best for them, they need to come to terms with themselves first and truly appreciate they are who they are. Once again, I don't want to explain too much, as this self-discovery aspect of the book is a prominent motif in many different ways, and to read and understand it firsthand is much more impactful. Okay, but I just need to talk about the characters because I'm a refugee. I love them so much. Like, wow. Firstly, yes, they all have some flaws and nuances, except Lily the dog, who is just perfect. But this adds to their lovableness and realness. First off, our main character. I did like that, and I'll just quickly explain it because it's in third person. First of all, when I was reading, I was like, this would be so much better in thirst. Like, why is it not in thirst? I'm just like, I'm sorry, Matt, what's going on here? But it's because there are like the vast majority of the chapters are from Ted's perspective, but there is also characters from his best friend Denise and Oscar as well. And then narrates what's happening sort of like from their view, and then also there's like italics that are like what the character is thinking, and it is so good. It is so good. And yeah, so I hope I explained this well, and it was just super great, and I loved how they sort of got the other like more insight into the characters' lives and like their like minds and stuff. Ted is likable, he's sweet, funny, just great, and you feel for him so much. You experience so much of what he goes through, and there are many relatable and lovable aspects to his character. Denise is, yes, flawed, but she's such a great friend and personality, has dealt with a lot, and so you understand her outlook. Oscar is just as sweet as OMG, I can't. He had to deal with so much trauma growing up and internal hatred and just finding himself. Stanley is purely fantabulosa. He's just an icon, super lovable, super lovable and funny, a great personality, but we still get to see some of his painful past. Ted's parents, Hilary and Trevor, and sister Jemima, are the most nuanced, I'd say, as in you do like them, but also some things they have done is a bit like, yeah, but you do understand their reasons, sort of, in a way, and I don't really know what to feel, but I would say I still do like them. Quick fire shout out to these other great characters: Alison, Mariana, Mick, Pegleg, Pussy Squat, Mick, and Andres too. Giles is by far the most unlikable. Well, actually Carl is, but he's a minor character. But then again, he has some redeeming qualities, and yeah, read it to see why I don't hate it. The writing is so great too. It's super addictive, making you read on and fully encapsulating you. It was honestly like, it was so hard to like put this book down. I was just like, I'm so engrossed. I need it, because like the writing is just like, it just pulled you, but also the characters are just, oh my god, the characters are so realized. They're so lovable. But like, I was in a predicament because I was like, I just want to binge it so badly, but then I'm also like, I don't want to let these characters go, and it's just like, bookish problems. But I did kind of mostly binged it. But I will definitely be giving it a reread because I just loved it. So yeah. And to revisit St. Luke's on Sea and all its fantabulous residents. I wouldn't say the writing is particularly outstanding, but it is very readable, and there are some lovely descriptive passages. The dialogue is also like super like realistic, sharp, witty, humorous, and just great. There's also like a few like great quotes and many takeaways. If you didn't guess already, but I love this book. Like, honestly, I'm in such awe of these characters. The plot and meanings portrayed is exceptional. And yeah, I will very likely be placing an order for when the physical copy becomes available. So I think it's about like 20th of January, sorry. And in the meantime, I do hope to read some more of Matt Cain's works because they were so good. And then PS, the acknowledgements were super sweet and so much meaning, so definitely read them too if you do pick this book up. So yeah, so this has honestly been one of my favorite books like of the year so far. I'm not sure yet, and it's not even out yet. It's like, okay, but yeah, I just wanted to like explain and just give a little review of this book because I loved it. And also this really wanted to really show, I also read this children's book that I got through NetGalley called Pride and Joy. It's by Frank J. Cielo and Kate Potvin. I don't think I've just said that name that right. But yeah, so I want to say thank you to NetGalley and Jessica Kingsley Publishing. This was a super really lovely read. It was like 48 pages. It's like a children's book, like sort of like a picture book. But I'm so happy that like children, teachers, and parents can have this to teach them about like being an ally to like the LGBTQIA community. Basically, we follow the main character Joy, who witnesses her gay brother Noah and his boyfriend Miguel being bullied. Takes this to her mum and questions what she can do to show support and help. She embarks on a bake sale of Pride and Joy cookies. To raise money for the teen centre helping queer youths with the aid of other allies. Whilst this is one way, she later learns that one must use their voice in some instances too. This was really great with important points, especially how Joy asks Noah if he feels comfortable with her going on with the sale. The inclusion of various flags that come under the LGBTQIA umbrella, specifically the Progress Pride flag that aims to include all members, different races and genders who face more discrimination than white gay people in most cases. And just, it was so good. The information, tips and questions at the back of this book was great too, and I am super happy that such a book will soon be available. I wish more resources were available when I was younger, teaching children about queer people and allyship. So thank you for this book. And yeah, I would totally recommend it. It was super sweet. And there was like so much like diversity. It was great. It was like, obviously it was so sweet, like so short, but it was really good too. So yeah, so I gave that 5 stars. And then the last one, which I literally just finished like 20 minutes ago, but I started a while ago, is a poetry collection called Sweet, Young and Worried by Blythe Baird. I think I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But yeah, this is a poetry collection. So once again, thank you to NetGalley and Button Poetry. I ended up giving this 4 stars. Trigger warning: this collection deals with many topics, but a considerable part involves eating disorders, mental illnesses, suicidal thoughts, and self-harm among others. But they come from a place of personal trauma, and I would say worth reading Bard's experiences. I don't know if I would say I necessarily enjoyed this poetry collection due to the nature of the themes discussed, which were quite hard to read, or just some were a little too abstract for my little brain to get my head around, and a few were a bit similar. However, I did feel like they all had a lot of meaning. They came from the heart, and so you do feel an emotive response. There are many snippets and whole poems that really stood out to me, and certain ones I can relate to too. I'd say if people, and I know this to be true because I've read some other reviews, can relate to the experiences, thoughts and feelings mentioned, then they do impact you a lot, and this was a great way for Bear to release her trauma of going through these situations in her life. She guided us through this journey of embracing who she is, queerness, love, loss, femininity, etc., and the vulnerability but also power of healing along the way. The collection is split into 3 parts. The first dealing with her going through traumatic events in her life and becoming an emergency. The second, I think the most impactful, where she is pining for splinters of improvement in her life. And the third, my favourite, as it was the most pleasant reading experiences, where she's imagining a better place and entering a place we haven't been to yet. The are the titles of each section, and they are very well executed for what poems are contained within them. Some of the most impactful parts of the poems are below. We obsess over shame, the most useless emotion I can think of. Instead, we sang only of the joys, the pastoral weekends, and the good things that must live in a place we haven't been to yet. Of all the things this world has taught her to apologise for, I am jealous that love has never been one of them. This one really spoke to me as she is talking about how her friend's mum explained sexuality to her as a child, but Baird herself had to deal with coming to terms with her sexuality on her own and other homophobic dynamics within her life. It is one thing to want help and another to have the language to ask for it. And my personal favourite, as it really spoke to this idea of self-hatred in a sense. I'm not entirely sure how one is supposed to interpret it, but for me it is this notion of focusing on one's worst qualities and bad things more than the good. And yeah, very impactful. But then again, someone else might see something else in these words, which is a great thing about poetry and its relativity. Not always, but usually. Why did I not allow myself to clutch the shooting stars of my happiness as tightly as the dissolving sea of my grief? Why is there so little evidence of all the nights I felt iridescent? So yeah, yeah, I would totally recommend it. Like if you can relate to certain things, and yeah, so I am super happy that I was able to review these books. Becoming Ted was honestly so amazing. I'm in awe of that book. It's one of my favorite, like I've read for like, just it was so good. And yeah, so I do want to like, I have been accepted for a few more, and I do want to like read them soon so I can publish reviews, because like they're counting on me as to why they let me review them. So yeah, so I would totally recommend if anyone else wants to like check out and like help like publishing houses and authors like before it actually published, then to check NetGalley out, and just like see. And yeah, so I did hope you enjoyed this video, and check these books out if you would like to when they become available, and I will see you very soon. Bye bye.